Alright, y'all. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Josh here with Josh's Lawn and Landscape. I'm out here at the irrigation job and not in quite as much of a hurry as I have been being, just because if any of you watched the last video, you know that the homeowner got delayed getting the sod, so which is good. Gives me a little more time to make sure I got everything right and get it fine-tuned. So I'm going to go over a couple of things. I got one zone in. I had a couple of little hiccups with some fittings just because I kind of got in a hurry finishing up a zone, but it happens. So I say I always pay attention to make sure you're running it where it's supposed to go. So, but it's okay. I got it fixed, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. And it actually had to improvise a little bit with the fitting that I put in yesterday evening. I showed you where I had run out of 90s and I made a 90 out of a T with a cap. So actually ended up having to use that T because I needed it. So I did pick up some more 90s today while I was at work, or right after work, because I was just completely out, so I needed to have some in case I needed some for repair. So I picked some up, so I did have a 90 to put back in place of it, but I'll show you that in a minute. So I think the question came up, and again, I believe it was Ray. Shout out once again to Ray's Lawn and Landscape. And he was asking about, I think it was him that raised the question about spacing. How do you figure your spacing on your heads? And mine is pretty general. The spray heads are a little different because you can get different nozzles. You can get a 12, and then what it is it's the range of the spray, what it's technically rated for the best coverage. You can get a 12, 15, 18, 21. I think they even make a 24, but those are probably for some of your taller spray heads. And those are adjustable fan style nozzles. So those, typically you're going to average around a 15-foot spacing, so about 5 paces. You know, if you got a roughly an average 3-foot step, not a big long stride, but just a step. The sorry, somebody drove by and waved at me, completely threw me off. Some of the sprays, like I say, typically in the systems that I put in, it's about an average 15-foot spread. So it's about 5 paces, like I said, with a standard step. And so the rotor heads, which are the big rotating heads, actually let me get one of them out of here. I know y'all know, most of y'all probably know what I'm talking about, but I'm trying to do visuals on all this. So let me turn the camera around while I show you this stuff and explain it to you. Alright, so these are the rotors. These are the pop-ups. So basically when they come on, they pop up and the top of it rotates around based on your setting. And these are your typical spray head bases. And like I said, I think in one of the first videos, this is just a blank cap, and you have a nozzle, whatever size nozzle you use. It has a little filter that goes down in it, and then the nozzle goes on top. And the nozzle can be opened up anywhere from 0 to 360 degrees. And it's rated for 12 to 15 feet. So, what you typically have on your rotors is they're rated for 30 to 35 feet on an average. Some may say a little longer than that, but you don't want to stretch them out. And they can all be adjusted down. There is a screw right, not in that blue thing, but right in front of my thumb there. You see that rise? There's actually a screw in there that you can tighten down to shorten the length of spray. It does fan out a little bit as you do that, so but that's how you can adjust the length that it throws. But if that screw is not in the stream, it's typically going to be right around, I'd say 30 or 32 feet, so roughly 10 paces. They do make a smaller spray that you can use, but they still roughly throw close to 30 feet. So And actually, for some odd reason, I think they're more expensive. So that's typically how you figure your system, is you know your area of coverage, and you'll space the, like I say, your big rotors out roughly 10 paces or about 30 feet, and your spray heads anywhere from, on an average, 12 to 15 feet, most of the time 15, depending on how close you are to, say, your property line. See, this is a more like 21 to 24 feet, I think, somewhere in that range for here, 25 feet, something like that. So this will actually be a rotor head that's just turned down. And walk over here. Just to show you what I'm talking about with the spray heads. And one pointer is never, or I have never, would not recommend, do not mix your spray heads with your rotor heads. Now see, here's roughly about to the property line where the neighbor's yard is roughly between 12 and 15 feet. So you can put a, like I say, a 15-foot nozzle in there. You can also turn those down. They have a center screw that slows down the flow. And so what you'll want to do with the, hopefully the sun's, yeah, right over my shoulder. So what you'll want to do with the sprays is group them together. Depending on your pressure, you're probably going to average no more than 5 heads on a zone. Sometimes rotors, it's safe to stick with 4 if you can get good coverage out of it. And you want to make sure to go head to head. So even though both heads throw 30 feet, you don't want to space them 60 feet apart. You want them roughly 30 or 32 feet apart so that they overlap to get good coverage. So you want head to head spray from your rotors and your sprays. Now the thing with a rotor head versus a spray obviously is a rotor shoots out a stream that actually oscillates back and forth. So you're not constantly watering the same area like you do with a spray nozzle. It's just a simple fan spray. It sprays the range of that fan constantly. So that affects your watering time and everything. So typically with a spray, depending on how heavy you want to water, roughly 10 to 15 minutes. Probably when you first install sod, I would say 15 minutes. And then once you get established, then you can probably cut that back to, say, 10 or so. Now with the rotors, being as they have to rotate around and come back, you're roughly on a new lawn, I would say around 30 minutes. And then once you get it dialed in and lawn's established, you can cut that back to 20 to 25 minutes. So just depending on how much you want to water and things of that nature. So, and all of that is set by the clock. So I'll try to go over that as well, as far as setting up the clock and wiring up valves and how that stuff goes. So just kind of wanted to go over the general way of getting your layout and your coverage. So basically you just have to kind of know how much area you have to cover. That'll tell you what heads you want to use, if you want to use a spray or a rotor. So hopefully that part's helpful. I'm going to get into laying the pipe for the last zone, and once I get that in, then we'll see where I'm at, and I may work on getting the wire pulled from the valves over to where the clock's going to be mounted at, and we can discuss, or I'll discuss wiring the timer up and how that works. So y'all stick around. Hopefully this series is being helpful to y'all, and get back to it. Well, guess what time it is, y'all? It's dark 30. So it's actually 9:30. So I'm packing it up. Probably got 80% of it, a little more, covered up. Most of the lines. It's supposed to rain tomorrow afternoon, so we'll see what it looks like when I get back after that. And yeah, hopefully the previous part of the video, the tips and stuff, and this is what I use. Just walk down one side of the trench, pull the dirt in, turn around, go back up the other side and pull the dirt off the other side back into the trench and get it packed. So pretty simple on that part. And then you just have to shovel some towards the ends of the runs, because it tends to pull it away from that to wherever you stop with a trencher. So so I got the valves in and wired together, and the wire run over to where the timer's going to be. So I'll be able to do a little bit of video in the next part on how to wire up the timer and show you how I got the valves wired and what I use to do that. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. Hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't had a chance yet, hit that subscribe button, and thank you once again for taking the time to watch. Y'all be safe, be kind, be blessed, and catch you on the next one. Thanks everybody.